Alright everyone, Supreme Kami over here, and today we're going to be doing the alteration review for the Gundam Zabanya P attribute over here, or the power attribute. So I think around what, 2019, I believe, was it 2019 or 2020? No, 2020 actually. So 2 years ago we actually do have this unit as a one of the Sokai unit over, or a Gundam Battle Festival banner. So they decided to drop an alternative attribute, so let's kind of see what this one is looking like over here. So it looks like that they did not do anything brand new for this one over here, so they didn't even bother to come up with like a new EX skill, which is probably the most disappointing thing, like looking at it from a alternative version of it. So kind of unfortunate, but let's talk about what I think is going to be the best part from the set. So I think in terms of, like, if you guys are able to pull, for example, you guys do want to pull for this guy, for example, if you guys are able to get the GN Rifle Biz2, this is probably one of the best part from the set. So in terms of the overall stat, so let me make this slightly smaller. So in terms of the stat, we should be looking roughly about, where is it at? It should be right about here. There you go. So it's going to be quite high on top of the list in terms of overall stat. So it does come with some pretty nice chunks of a shot attack. That's actually pretty impressive. War attack wise, exclusive and Gundam type. So I think the most impressive part about the GN Rifle Biz2 is actually going to be the portrait. So this is definitely something a first of its kind. So this one is giving you an EX reduced by 23%, as well as the initial EX charge boosted by 25%, all together in the same part. So this makes it a very versatile parts in terms of, like, for your cooldown reduction type build. And then besides that, you are also getting some initial charge boosting as well, so you should pretty much have no problem in terms of trying to execute some EX skill on the start. So this is a very good piece of ranged weapon to be looking like. Although this one is going to be under the long category, or long rifle category, so in terms of your subslot availability, let's say you're not able to pull a second copy, so in terms of subslot, let's see what kind of good option we might have for big scale. So we only have one big scale, and then we only have another one right here. So I mean, the smooth bore is not really I mean, it's not really that impressive. Only 7,000. So you're getting what you should be getting, roughly about 30.5% of this guy over here. So yeah, in terms of the subslot, just for the long rifle category, is not going to be that great. If you guys are going to be using this weapon over here, so that is going to be the unfortunate factor, I would have to say. But otherwise, the portrait is definitely going to be really good. Just the subslot wise, it's going to be a little bit wonky. If you guys are planning to subslot it with like a regular scale, you might not get the most amount of, let's say, subslot bonus. But I'm pretty sure they should be, like, you can even take a look at this alternate version. I think that will probably be the better subslot option, because you are able to get this one. You will still be able to get a 30%. So I mean, like, this is probably the best option, because this one is giving a 10 or 11,000. So yeah, probably you would have to subslot yourself to make this ranged weapon a little bit more better. So all right, so jumping back to the head part now. So so that I will have to consider probably the best part of the set, just because the portrait is in terms of the overall combo, definitely something we have not seen before. So jumping back to the head part over here, so the head part is actually going to be one of those 40% traits. So this one is actually not too bad, because in terms of overall condition, this one is fairly easy to activate. In terms of overall condition, it's not too harsh. So this one does only want you to be using ace exclusive, so you get that shooting power boosted. And then in terms of the second condition, wants you to have at least 10,000 shot defense. So that is a easily achievable if you just have a few parts level up, for example. So in terms of the overall, this one is pretty good, so pretty high on the roster as well. So you're pretty much going to be in some competition, let's say, to even a second V. I would have to say this one may be a little bit better than a second V, for say, just because you're not locked down to using a rifle category. So that right here, if you are trying to use that rolling buster, for example, the Wing Zero weaponry, that one is a long rifle category, so this one is not gonna proctor. So but other than that, I don't think we really have that many 40% traits in terms of the 7-star part rarity at this moment. The only other alternative, if you're not talking about this one, maybe the Wing Zero, but other than that, I feel like the Gundam Zabanya head does do a pretty good job of itself. So definitely a lot more better than its predecessor, the what is it, the tech attribute of it. So definitely a pretty good head part if you guys are able to pull it. You guys can definitely see the shot attack is pretty good as well, so you would definitely be getting that. Should be tanking pretty good as well, so not bad, at all. Word tag wise, Ace is also a Gundam type again right there. So moving on to the torso, and I don't think they even went ahead and updated, let's say, the power scaling or the piercing value. I think it's pretty much the same as we have looked at in terms of the last time around, so that's really unfortunate, you know. In terms of the overall stat, we are looking at, you know, among one of the higher ones, so almost breaking 10k. So that is definitely pretty impressive. So just looking at the overall parameter, I can see some pretty good armor, so that's quite good to see. Defensive stat 9k, that is really good as well. In terms of the melee defense, that looks good, right? I guess, you know, it's not too shabby, but it's not like the best, you know. It's like sitting slightly below average, I guess. It's not bad, I guess, by any means, you know, pretty standard stuff. But EX skill, pretty disappointing. It's not that, like, I just wish that they could have implemented like a new EX skill, like any sort. Like, please, like, if you're gonna make like a different attribute, at least try to come up with like a different EX skill, because like in terms of the awakening of the Patrol Blazer, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more seen than this one over here. So I don't know, like if they gonna keep rehashing these parts, like please give us new animation. Like I can't do this, man. Like we need new animation. But the tag was gonna be Ace exclusive and then Gundam type again. So all right, so gonna be your pretty standard you know, tags right here. So all right, moving on to the arm. Let's see what the arm does for us over here. In terms of the arm, we are actually looking, where are we at the arm actually? Okay, so the arm is actually where I'm like, where am I looking at? So the arm is gonna be here, so not gonna be one of your higher tier parts actually. Okay, all right, that's kind of at first. So let's see what the parameter is doing for us over here. So I would have to say the armor is pretty good as well, so you won't be like a let's say like a glass cannon using this part. So your regular shot attack looks pretty fine, like not like among one of the higher, like the raw stat. Defensive is a pretty, like, you know, standard as well. It's not one of the higher one as well. Like the highest we have seen for like a fully shooting based part was like what, like a 9k digit around there. So that's this one is definitely not around there, like 9,700 around that area. So this one is definitely not doing that, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So let's see what the portrait is doing for us over here. So this one is going to be a double shooting power boosted, going to be one of your older trait right there, 30 to a 35% ratio. So this one, I'm just gonna say not really that good of an investment in a way, because for one, it's asking you to use the long range vortex. So in terms of long range vortex, not that it's bad, it's just that in terms of like how much support we get for this vortex, it's just very suboptimal. It's just really subpar from what we have gotten. Like melee focus is like let's say Ace exclusive, Gundam type, and high firepower. So long range is like one of those like really niche tags you would see in a shooting build. Not, it doesn't mean you can't build around that, like you definitely can, but in terms of what kind of part that is surrounded with that, it's pretty much like those lower tier parts. Let's say regular standard 4-star part, or maybe we take a look at event parts and some 2-star part. So that is going to be pretty much like generally where you would see long range being used at. If we talk about some higher low tier build, like in terms of using Sokai tier parts, you'll pretty much not really use long range in a way. But I was saying, you know, if you are able to form up that, no, I think the long range don't really give you the massive boost for your war tag gear. I believe it's only mid range. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that. I think only mid range actually gives you that 240% boosting for that extra boosting when you have that war gear. while this one does not. It's a flat out 180%. I could be wrong. I would definitely double check on that real quick, but I think, you know, at the end of the day, it just really comes down to how, you know, how comfortable you are with like finicky with these kind of word tags over here, because these are definitely something not really generally we'll be speaking of so over here. So definitely in terms of this part, I won't recommend for the alteration. So all right, so moving over to the leg, let's see what we have. So leg part wise over here, we are going to be right up here. Okay, so in terms of the GX skill, they really didn't bother to come up with like a different set of stuff over here. So this one is actually going to be the same as the other one as well, so giving, just providing some shot and melee attack boosting, so that's actually quite powerful. So if you are planning to support your both yourself and ally, this is a definitely something a must-have for, let's say, running it in any multi-mission boss over here. So in terms of overall stat, of course it's really high, but you do got to keep that in mind. This one does not have a portrait, so your best option is trying to subslot something that has a good portrait. So try not to waste your your portrait slot. So I think the overall parameter looks pretty good actually. I would have to say the armor is definitely pretty good as well. Defensive stat, really decent as well. It's just that the fact that the word tag, long range, probably not the best. So if you guys already do have the alternative version of the Zabanya leg alterated in terms of the EX skill, I mean they're pretty much the same. It's not like they're packing anything special of that. So I would have to say probably not it in terms of the alteration. But if you guys are purely alterating it for the stat staking, can't really go wrong with that, I guess, because it is one of amongst one of the higher stat. So some possible option that you guys can definitely do is definitely go for like a big scale subslot. So equivalently is definitely going to be your best friend right there, because this one's going to be a 40% trait. So when, and if you guys are able to pick it up, let's say with like the ultra banner. So this week one we actually do have a ultra banner. So whenever we see those types of banner returning, those usually are banners that people want to go into, because they are providing for one, you're able to pick a like just being able to pick a part that you want, and then being able to get a selectable L badge, that is definitely fantastic. So if you guys do wait a little bit longer, like I guess 3 more weeks later, they would definitely rehash another set of the ultra banner, and maybe these part right here, they would definitely be on that roster. And you know, probably by that time you can definitely pick up yourself a Quibbly leg right there, and you guys should be pretty much set in terms of like if you guys are looking for some good subset availability. In terms of the Kasashi, it's not bad as well. You know, you are able to get some matching word tag right there, but obviously not really the best, because this one subslot is only gonna give you that 10.5% starting out, because only sharing one word tag. So that's why the big skill is definitely a very powerful option right there. So moving on from that, so let's talk about the backpack. What does the backpack have for us over here? So backpack wise, I think we are pretty much down to where we at actually. Oh, we actually down here. So it's gonna be suffering for the same thing again that word tag. Like long range is just not that good of an option. Like man, like commander is definitely still one of the better word tag to run over anything else over here. And so I don't know, man, like long range, it definitely fits the overall theme, so can't deny about that. But in terms of its usability, just not that good. So transam up here, so raising your shot attack up, but only 39%. Like are you kidding me? Like if you talk about like an alternative version, I expect him to pump it up to at least like a 49% or even like a 59%, but no, they don't want to do that. So this is gonna be another one of those prime example point where you probably don't want to alterate it, just because you're not gaining that much value from the EX skill itself. So pretty sad in that regards with it. But I mean, like if you are purely doing for the stat, can't really judge on too much on that, because if this is like the best part you pull from the set for like a very long time, you definitely do, I guess, want to get your hands into some, you know, upgraded into 7-star parts, and then kind of work from there. But otherwise, in terms of EX skill, I don't really recommend alterating it. I just don't think it's that good. So I think pretty much in terms of the alternative attribute of the Zabanya or Gundam Zabanya, I think it's very disappointing, except for the GM Rifle Biz2. All the other part are just kind of like a rehash and not really putting too much effort into it. Like the EX skill is very bland. Like I don't know, like I just wish they could have gave us like a different scene for the EX skill, maybe like the cutscene EX skill, or maybe in terms of like instead of giving us like a missile for the chest EX skill, maybe they could have thought of something else, or I don't know, like just a different animation, I guess. But with that being said, that's gonna be pretty much it in terms of the Gundam Zabanya over here. So I am still waiting for the final mission type, and I would have to say that one is probably gonna be a better option, just purely for a fan base, opinion. But other than that, in terms of this alternative version, I don't see too much of a purpose to kind of go into, except for the fact you guys are planning to build a very outstanding EXQ cooldown build. This is I will have to say, this is definitely the part you want to be getting. So with that being said, that's going to be pretty much it, and I'll catch you guys all on the next one.